Good evening, everyone. I'm Swaran Himan, Executive Director at Asian Exporter Chamber of Commerce and Industry, India. And I warmly welcome you to today's Ask Me Anything session, titled Doing Business with Mexico. AECCI is a prominent chamber based in Mumbai and is proudly recognized by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. AECCI has been actively supporting Indian businesses in their global journey through strategic partnerships, trade facilitation, and knowledge exchange. As part of this mission, AECCI is proud to collaborate with 50 renowned trade and legal consulting firms across the globe. And our idea behind this is to offer on-ground support and market intelligence to our trade members. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our expert partner, NewMarkets Mexico, for this AMA. NewMarkets is a top-tier international business development consultancy that specializes in market expansion across Mexico and the America. Renowned for their regional expertise, they guide global businesses through regulations, market entry strategies, and trade challenges. Through their collaborations with AECCI, NewMarkets provide strategic support for Indian companies in sectors like pharmaceutical, agriculture, chemicals, and more. Whether it is setting up a local presence, understanding administrative procedures, or resolving trade disputes, their expertise ensures timely, region-specific assistance. And we are honored to have two highly experienced experts with us today, Mr. Ernesto Vlasic and Mr. Lord de Villamor from NewMarkets, Mexico. They bring hands-on knowledge of trade, investment and entry strategies, regulatory insights. So whether you are a manufacturer, startup, or an export house, today's session is for you. While welcoming our guest speakers, Mr. Ernesto and Mr. Lloyd, let us dive into our first question. Welcome, sir. Welcome you both here.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here and interacting with India and Indian companies and their requests and queries about Mexico and the Latin countries where we operate.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being
here. Thank you very much. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. So, sir, my first question to you both, the gentlemen, what key trade regulations should foreign businesses be aware of before entering the Mexican market? Also, which regulatory bodies oversee foreign business operations in Mexico?
The general situation with between India and Mexico is unfortunately an undeveloped relationship in that sense. We don't really have a free trade agreement. We don't have any specific agreement that may enhance the trade between the two parties. So this is one of these situations where, in spite of that, the competitiveness of, in this case, India, makes business possible. We will talk a little bit further ahead about the trade balance between the two countries, and we will see how India is absolutely in the game of Mexico. They realize Mexico is an important ally for exports and for business, and that is in spite of a general agreement. So we don't always. This is one of those situations where we don't really need an agreement so far. But of course, it would be very helpful if we had one.
Right. And recent year, I think, has been very good for India and Mexico for that matter. We did good trade.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. The trade balance in general is in favor of India in the past 3-4 years.
Yes.
It wasn't that way before. However, Mexico we used to have a surplus against India. But that has changed radically. And that is why I'm saying that in spite of the general situation in all senses, India is definitely a powerhouse, definitely a competitive exporter to this market. Therefore, and not only in general, I mean, in the specifics also, the basket of products and services that India offers is very big, very wide. We have many sorts of products which we can talk in detail a little bit further ahead.
Right. Thank you so much. Mr. Lloyd, would you like to add something in this?
Well, I think Ernesto has summed up very well all the trade business in between Mexico and India. So we are really glad that you have interest in the Mexican market. It's an open and competitive market. And we do know that there are many opportunities for Indian companies to invest or to export to the Mexican market. One of the reasons is the nearshoring phenomenon that is important that many Indian companies that are investing now in Mexico is because the trade agreement that Mexico has with the United States and Canada. But we can go further details after if you want about this trade agreement treaty.
Right, right. That's okay. And how about this double taxation agreement? Does this stand between India and Mexico?
The double taxation. I think we have to go to specifics there. I think you're speaking about
DTA, right?
corporate revenue.
Yes, 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 right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that there is a document, an ongoing negotiation, let's call it that way, between the current government in Mexico, because this is something that has been an aspiration. I don't think it's been really achieved.
Okay.
And it is a barrier in itself, right? I mean, this might be a barrier in itself for companies that want to go that extra mile, right?
Right, right. Anyways, thank you. And then I would like to know what are the main steps involved in setting up a subsidiary sales office or appointing a sales staff in Mexico as a foreign business.
The main steps of establishing a company. It's basically a let's say it's a general procedure as you would do in many other countries. There's nothing specifically different in Mexico. But of course, you have to take into deep consideration of the legislation, of the laws regarding corporate, regarding labor, regarding permits, and your activity, your specific activity. Of course, it depends on the type of corporation or the type of establishment that you want to take into consideration. If it's just a representation office, if it's an affiliate, or if it's a production facility.
Okay.
Or a capital investment, which would also be considered an investment. I would say that the logical step would be to first understand the business, understand the environment.
Yes.
That will allow you to choose the best locations for your activity, which is not necessarily the capital city, Mexico City. Mexico City represents roughly 23, 24 million people out of a total population of 130. Therefore, it is a major player in the Mexican economy. But depending on your activity, doesn't necessarily mean that your company has to be established in the capital. There are great opportunities to establish your company in the other states and the other major cities, which, by the way, usually offer incentives for establishing your company both at a local level or a state level. And that is something that has to be studied beforehand. That would be my first tip. Study the country, study the environment, and see which location would be better for your activity, which is not necessarily the capital.
Okay, fine. And yes, my question was about incentives only. I would insist on this also that NewMarkets is always there to support at least the Indian community who would be going through AECCI to support with the legal and the regulatory requirements if you want to set up your company there or if you want to have your sales representative offices there, then the team NewMarkets will be available to serve the audience, right?
In fact, we are very keen to have a very good relationship with some of the state governments, precisely to be, to be a little bit very well informed about what they're doing, what they're offering, as far as installment of corporations in their territories, Just recently, we had a meeting with the government of Jalisco. Jalisco is a very important state. That's where the Guadalajara city is the capital, and that is the reason that we believe to have very good information regarding this, and to guide our customers wisely to the right strategy.
Okay, great. Yes,
Yes.
this is very important. Yes, sir, please.
And also, if I may, Swarm, yes, I would like to add that we're talking just for Indian investors, but for example, if we are talking about exporters, Indian exporters, they can start by establishing an agent distributor authorized here in Mexico. Just with an importer or an agent or a distributor, it can begin to work in the Mexican market. Also, we think that it's crucial to have promotion plans in Mexican market. We are talking about trade shows, commercial missions to Mexico. For Indian exporters, it will be a must.
Okay. This is very important point, and means I'm sure people will be listening this, or later on when they listen, this is very important, and this is applicable to any country. Whenever you are entering any country, you should do this homework basically. So thank you, sir, for this, and let us now talk about the trade barriers that Indian exporters or the foreign businesses they may need to know about. So can you please help me to know about the trade barriers that they may have to face while entering Mexico?
Well, the number one trade barrier is always going to be the tariffs. That is a very important issue, specifically with India. Unfortunately, we have high tariffs as a general standard with India.
Okay.
They range at the minimum around 15%, all the way up to 35%. But we have some cases where it's even higher than that. But in spite of this, India is still exporting and very successfully to Mexico. That speaks of the competitiveness and the quality and the interesting products that India offers, in spite of this important trade barrier, which are the tariffs. Let me tell you that the hike in the tariffs between Mexico and India is rather recent. It has just 2 years of age. We would expect, and that I hope that the Indian embassy and the Indian government work on negotiating with the Mexican government a solution to soften the situation. Of course, Mexico is also an industrial powerhouse, smaller than India, of course, being big, but it's always going to be smaller than India. And that explains the political reason why the tariffs exist between the two countries. That would be one big issue. The second one would be, but of course, we would have to study sector by sector, product by product, as you very well know. Another important issue, which in my opinion is a clear trade barrier, is everything regarding certifications, compliances with technical regulations. This is something that's very important, and especially in sectors like, for example, pharma, which India has some presence in the market. This is something that has to be also, you have to do your homework beforehand in order to see whether that trade barrier is achievable to overcome, or is going to be a real challenge. So in my opinion, compliance would be the other huge aspect, where there's still a lot to negotiate and to soften, basically.
Right.
I don't know if I'm leaving anything else, Lloyd, that should be mentioned.
Yes, you have summed up really well, Ernesto. But for example, Mexico customs regulations, you have to take care about that. You have to have a really nice forwarder with experience to work with Mexican market. It is crucial. And also product standards, as Ernesto was telling you. Here in Mexico, we have the regulation. It is called NOMS. And you have to take care about all the product standards and the customs. So I think that's the quick questions. Product standard and also Mexican customs regulations.
Yes, you mentioned an important point here, which is the logistics. I mean, it's not only about customs, It's also about logistics. Sometimes logistics in itself can be considered a trade barrier, depending on where your entrance point in the market would be. If it's a ship delivery, you would probably think that the western ports of Mexico would be the most logical entry points, but that's not always the case. We found that sometimes the ports in the eastern side, the Gulf of Mexico, not Gulf of America, are also very, very, very competitive. So this is something that sometimes you have to analyze. Sometimes it might be cheaper to send to one port, but you're going to face a lot of problems there. Maybe it's worthwhile to pay the difference to enter through another port. This in Mexico is very important.
Okay, great. So basically, logistics is also one of the very important point considering the different ports and the mode of shipment. Also, compliances, working on the regulatory compliances is very important. Before entering any country, any market, it is very important to understand the local compliances, local requirements. And for that, again, to my audience, I would say, yes, the experts are there. You can directly reach to them instead of going blindly, instead of making any experiment. It is always better to take the advice from the expert. So in Mexican market, we have our expert partner. They are sitting in front of you. So later on, you can have their contact details from us and you can directly reach to you if you are planning to enter Mexican market. Or if you are already there and facing some issue, then also you can reach through them. Right, sir? Yeah. So let us move to the next question now. What are the key cultural factors Indian businesses should keep in mind when entering the Mexican market? Also, I would add one more. How receptive are Mexican distributors or retailers or customers to Indian products or brands? Though I know trade balance is saying, yes, they are very receptive, but then too.
Yes, of course. Well, there are many. There's a very wide list of cultural issues and practical attitudes and let's say conducts that should be respected when you establish contact with Mexico, and vice versa, of course, with India, right? I think that the first one is, of course, the language barrier. That would be obvious. But second, I would stress that if I have to summarize in one issue, it would be the speed of business. Okay. I mean, the way business is expected to be developed. Generally speaking, Asians and of course Indians usually tend to go very fast. I mean, you're very quick at developing business. You look for the opportunity, you go for it. You don't beat around the bush. You negotiate, and that in the Mexican way of doing business, which is rather slower, there could be an unbalance there, and that's where sometimes people are disappointed, thinking that Mexicans are really not interested or are super slow in making a decision. But it's not about being better or worse. It's just the way it is. Yes. You have to understand that Mexicans consider time not in the same way as, in this case, India. Right. Generally speaking, I'm speaking, of course, I'm generalizing. Right. Yes. We have so many cases of negotiations which begin today, and they will turn positive probably a year from now, or a year and a half from now, or 8 months from now. And that's one of the things you have to understand if you want to tackle the Mexican market. It will take you time. It will take you time to gain the trust. Yes.
Sorry, Ernesto. So we think that patience is a key question when doing business in Mexico. Patience.
Patience. Yes. See, this
patience,
is such
but
an
also perseverance.
Point. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
See, this talking about speed and the patience, this is such an important aspect you both have raised here. And this must reach to the people seeking business relationships with Mexican people. This is very important. I'm happy that I had put up this question.
So yes, it's a fascinating aspect because it's many times we see that businesses would be possible if only there would be a better understanding between the two parties. And for example, what I'm saying about Mexico, which I'm of course generalizing, as I said before, doesn't apply in other Latin American countries, which are quicker at the time of developing business. I'm speaking of Chilean companies from Chile or from Panama or from Brazil, for example. They're usually faster when trying to develop a business. But Mexicans take their time. For them, it's very important to gain trust with their suppliers or their customers. And gaining trust takes time. It's not on a one trip. It's a relationship of communication and see how we do and see how we feel and see how we know each other and how we empathize, right? Because
Yes.
after all, Mexico is very far away. And if you're going to have a supplier from the other part of the world, that supplier cannot fail you. It has to be trustworthy, it has to be part of your team, of your family in that sense, right?
Great.
Yes, adding what Ernesto is saying, it is to do business in Mexico, it is very important to have and maintain a close relationship with your partner here in Mexico. I think that's a similarity with India, that it is crucial the relationships. No, here in Mexico, it is crucial also to have this kind of relationship with your partner, a really very close relationship to do business.
So it is more about loyalty, trust building, keeping patience, right? And this is very good to know all about. And I'm for sure going to convey this to all my trade members separately also. So let us move to the next one. Now, which industries in Mexico are most open to import from India, such as pharmaceutical, IT, textile, or auto parts? Means which all are the industries that would be interested or that are interested in importing from India?
It's a very wide range of products and sectors, but if I had to choose the most important ones, looking at the trade balance, it would clearly fall in the world of vehicles of all sorts, vehicles for people or for construction or for the agriculture business.
Okay.
Also, the auto parts regarding these vehicles. Both sectors, vehicles and auto parts, represent roughly 30% of what India exports to Mexico.
Okay.
So it is a crucial sector of sectors, let's call it that way. Everything related with vehicles. Another interesting sector would be, you mentioned it would be everything related with pharma, medicines, and chemicals related with pharma. This is something that is very interesting from a Mexican point of view. Mexico also has a national industry of pharmaceutical companies. Of course, we have the presence of the multinationals, but in my opinion, it would be very interesting to try to see possibilities of cooperation between Indian supply and Mexican industry. See if we can find a partnership there. This is a sector that we are enthusiastic about. Pharma and everything related with pharma. Textiles, the famous Indian textiles, they're present in Mexico also, even though Mexico does produce textiles, but we do have imports of textiles of all sorts, both for the home, both for the wardrobe, and raw materials related with textiles. So that is another chapter that is interesting for India. Also, everything related with metal products, sub-products, or even raw products from metal would be interesting to take a look at. We also found everything related with telephones, mobile equipment. There's also an interesting current of imports from India, but oddly enough, Mexico's number one export product to India is precisely telephones and mobile. So we believe that there is an interesting sector there between the two countries that are sharing the quotas. We have other minor ones, but are very important. For example, everything related with houseware, dishware, plasticware, That is India's super competitive there, as you know, and that has a place in the trade balance for sure. We also found something more. Oh, well, also medical equipment. Medical equipment. That could be an interesting subsector also to look up into.
So means there's a lot more scope for the people than they think of.
Sorry.
There's a lot more scope for the people, right?
Oh yes, for sure,
Yes.
for sure. I mean, India's basket of products is way richer than Mexico's basket of export products to India, which is much more limited to fewer sectors.
Crude oil and right.
Yes.
Yes.
India is now the ninth largest trade import in Mexico, no? So that you can see all the importance of the Indian exporters here in Mexico. Is the ninth partner, actually.
Yes. We forgot to give you the big numbers. The India in 2024 exported to Mexico the equivalent of 9 billion US dollars.
Right.
Against 2.7 for Mexico. That means that the trade balance is absolutely in favor of India.
Right. That's why I said there is positive trade balance for India. But with the coming years, business will grow for both the countries, and I just hope that it is going to be beneficial for both the countries. Yeah, and thank you, sir. It was very insightful, in fact, and I have taken the note of each and every sector because I would be sharing a brief report also with my members so that they can go through all the questions. And of course, video will always be available to them. It will be shared with them. And now I would like to ask you one thing more. Though we have already discussed about the sectors. But then too, for the startups or for the tech companies, technology-based companies, what kind of opportunities do you see in the Mexican market?
Well, generally speaking, Mexico is probably Latin America's most exciting scenario for tech companies and for startups in this sector. If you're speaking about tech startups, because startups do not necessarily belong in the tech sector, but definitely Mexico has many interesting platforms from, let's say, small startups, which are at square one of their company, but you also have companies that have more development and have good investment, but still require developing their business. And what can we say about India? I mean, and the tech sector in India. From my personal point of view, I think it's been under. I mean, we haven't really bridged with India in this sector, and I think this would be another sector of opportunity together with the trade sectors.
Okay.
Everything related with tech, besides of course the big names from India. I think that there are interesting opportunities to link with smaller companies or smaller startups.
Right. Okay.
Yes, and also I will add that, for example, if we have to see for Indian opportunities in the Mexican market in this kind of startups, we can say that, for example, cybersecurity, digitalization of financial services, online healthcare or insurance industry. It will be the key sector for startups here in Mexico.
Okay. Great, thank you. Thank you so much. And I think this is serving my purpose. So same will be informed to the new entrants in the market. And thank you for this. So now moving to the last question of this session, I would like to ask what kind of strategies and actions would NewMarkets recommend for Indian companies for approaching the Mexican market? Also, I would like you to please add your detailed services that people can avail from you.
Okay, first, thank you very much. Strategies to enter the Mexican market would be the first one to understand, as I said before, understand the market in the context of where Mexico is, Mexico right now in North America has a theoretical but also practical a trade agreement with the North American countries, the States and Canada, of course, but it also has a trade agreement with Central America and has trade agreements with 14 other regions around the world. So it's a very open market to do business with. Having that said, Mexico is usually the number one country, probably together with Brazil, where people would begin to explore the region. So even though that is kind of obvious, the second thing would be to see how, if it's your first time entering the market, I would try my best to be well informed. Information is key in Mexico. Contacts are key in Mexico. And since it's a large country, one mistake can lead you to a waste of money and time and transport from one city to the other. So it's very important to focus your strategic approach to the market to see which area or areas are of your concern. And after that, step into the country. From our point of view, what we usually tackle, NewMarkets is specialized in working with both corporations, with both companies, and also with associations or institutions. So we have different formulas. If a company comes by themselves, we can assess them as to how to approach the market, either commercially or by establishing themselves in the market. If it's a commercial, we have formulas that are very known, like, for example, a commercial trip, a commercial agenda. During a few days, we can organize that for Indian companies, as we do on a weekly basis to customers from around the world that we have, and that is very practical. We manage very good information of the market. Therefore, if we're going to set up a meeting with an Indian company with Mexican companies, it's going to be very precise. Okay, that would be one tool. Another is to come in a group. Why don't you come 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 companies in a trade mission? We can also organize that, either multi-sectorial or sectorial. We have a wide experience developing very, very high quality contacts with Mexican sectors. Okay, that would be another very basic but very important tool. Okay, we also we have another one, which is we're kind of unique there, where companies, they don't travel, they delegate their power of negotiation to us, and we negotiate in their name to Mexican companies. Okay, so it's not really an agent figure. It looks like an agency figure. It's more like a commercial delegation. Okay, that is something that we do also on a regular basis.
This is wonderful. The last point I would say, this is wonderful, because people generally they look for such arrangements. Again, because being unfamiliar with the culture of the destination country, they prefer to go through the, of course, notices, you can say commercial delegations. Through as delegate, I think you can give them the right services. This is very good indeed.
Yes, and that's the main difference between us and most consultancy companies.
Yes,
because we do bite the market.
Yeah. So what we do to sum up is to make, in this case, to grow in the Mexican market. No. And talking about the strategies, also, I would like to add that given the size of the Mexican market, the Indian company should consider specific territories here in Mexico. Okay, given the size of this market. So, well, and to finish, I would like to say that in this moment, there are more than 215 Indian companies based in Mexico. Above all, for IT technology, for pharma, and also automotive sector. There are huge Indian companies. No, I can mention some of them. For IT, you can see Infosys, Wipro, First Source. For pharma sector, here in Mexico, we have these Indian companies, Lupin, Dr. Reddy's laboratories, Life Science, and also for the automotive sector, Tata Group has established manufacturing here also in Mexico.
Great, great.
Food
These all are
processing
the big
sector also.
names,
Yes.
very big names. Nice, nice. This is really very nice. And Mr. Ernesto, you were discussing about the trade missions. Yes, we keep taking the trade missions to different destinations. Right now, we are planning to go to Uzbekistan and Vietnam as well. So in future, of course, we'll plan a delegation to Mexico. So.
Oh, that would be wonderful. And we can the trade mission could be in different formats. It could be a traditional trade mission, which every company visits their scheduled meetings.
Yes.
Another one is a B2B meeting in a hotel room. That's something that we usually do too, depending on the sector. So we can discuss these formulas the most convenient way possible.
Sure, sure. And
we will be longing to collaborate with Indian companies.
Yes, yes, sure. We'll try our best to facilitate this. And
Okay.
thank you so much for this very insightful session. Though this is short, but very knowledgeable. I think everything that new entrant or existing businessman wants to know about any country. So I think we have explained each and everything. For rest of the things, I would ask the people who would be viewing this, who would be watching this, to please get in touch with the experts directly. If you want any more answers, any more questions you have for them, you can directly ask, right? And with this, I would like to thank Mr. Ernesto and Mr. Lloyd for taking the time to address so many important aspects of doing business with Mexico. And we are sure that the business people now feel more confident about exploring this vibrant market. And thank you everyone for joining us today or for watching this video later on. For any follow-up questions, for any connections with our speakers, feel free to contact. Also, our virtual B2B platform of AECCI, you can directly book a meeting with the experts. You can put your meeting request there and we will answer that in the shortest possible time. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.